Right now, if you stick a pole and a Union Jack tomorrow outside your house, I think you're making a statement. And I think that statement is probably that you prefer Britain to be more white.
Do I think it's nationalist? Yes. Do I think that
Can it be provocative?
Do I think that being proud of your nation and identifying with your nation is a negative thing?
No, I don't think that either. I don't think that either. At certain times, when it's a very hot topic, in that context, I think you can be making a statement. Don't you think it can be provocative?
We're seeing Union Jacks hanging from motorway bridges and the red and white of England's St George's Cross painted on roundabouts. Rejoice, say many. No, say others. And the latest and high-profile addition to that camp is the former England footballer Gary Neville.
I just kept thinking as I was driving home last night that we're all being turned on each other, and the division that's being created is absolutely disgusting. Mainly created by angry, middle-aged white men who know exactly what they're doing. Funnily enough, on one of my development sites last week, there was a Union Jack flag put up, and I took it down instantly. And some people might be watching this and thinking, well, Gary, you're not very patriotic. I played for my country 85 times. I love my country. I love Manchester and I love England. But I've been building in this city for 15, 20 years, and there's no one put a Union Jack flag up in the last 15 to 20 years, so why do you need to put one up now?
Alex,
yeah.
I think I've known you long enough to know that I don't think you're going to agree with Gary Neville.
Oh, he's misery personified, isn't he? Look, first of all, he says, isn't it terrible everyone's been divided and turned against each other? I'm afraid that is what identity politics has done. And, you know, the way I see the whole sort of Union flag, St George's Cross phenomenon, if I was going to describe it crudely, it's a bit like a wounded animal marking its territory. It's a bit... The British don't really do rioting. I mean, forget what happened last summer, but by and large, we're not gilets jaunes wearers, we're not setting tyres on fire. This is almost a British stiff upper-lipped way of a cat doing a poo around the perimeter of its garden when it says, this is where I live, this is mine, don't you encroach on it. And I think the ordinary Brit feels very much ostracised in their own country. They feel a little bit victimised. And there's all sorts of complex and dark nuances and things that have led up to this. I think identity politics is at the crux of it. But what we're seeing is a sort of British working-class grassroots reaction saying, we're not going to riot, we're not going to smash shop windows, we're not going to do any of that. We're just going to put our flag up to remind you we're Brits and this is Britain.
Kirsty, we're Brits and this is Britain. What do you think of this?
When I moved into the house that I now live in, the next door neighbours had a St George's flag in their window. And both my kids are mixed race. And so I went to a couple of the other neighbours in the street and I said, neighbours up there, are they okay? And it turns out they just couldn't be bothered to put curtains up, and they're absolutely fine. But the point being is, one, I made a whole bunch of assumptions about what their motives might be about it, which turned out to be wrong. But also, the reality is, I wouldn't fly a flag in my front garden or shimmy up a lamppost at 3 o'clock in the morning to do it either, because I appreciate that for some people this is deemed to be seen as a way, exactly as I saw it, as a sort of intimidating, ethno-national kind of signal to the world. So that's some of the reason that, I wouldn't do it. And I think one of the issues that we've seen, and you're right, the people that have perpetuated the most kind of sense of, if you do this, you are wrong and racist, is kind of New Labour, the kind of the globalisation project, and this trashing of the nation state that we've seen. And what was fascinating about Starmer's speech at conference this year was that he repudiated not just Farage, but he repudiated this kind of globalisation philosophy of New Labour as well, and said in terms that, I understand, I get it, this is why you, blue-collar, working-class Britain, feels alienated and disenfranchised, because we have sneered and looked down on you and impugned your motives.
Ben, you know all about flags in the US.
Yeah, I had a flag outside my house on because I'm a dual national, outside on Independence Day all year.
It's across the spectrum. I'm thinking of the West Wing, which is sort of the liberal fantasy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all flags
you can
and
see
everything.
protesters in Portland waving flags
across the spectrum now, aren't they?
Yeah, and in a funny way, I mean, I take Kirsty's point. But also, I mean, as somebody who's lived in the UK and the US and who's really irritating when England have games and dress up in my England kit and wave flags, I guess I just don't really see this as like you're choosing an identity or not. Like a flag is, I'm British, I'm American, I have interests that I share in common with people and not. I don't see that the flag has to push you one way or the other.
I think it's about context. So right now it's a really sensitive subject. There are times when it's fine and it's celebratory, when Jerry Halliwell was wearing Union Jack pants in the late 90s. That was all fun and playful. Right now it's a very sensitive subject. I think right now, if you stick a pole and a Union Jack tomorrow outside your house, I think you're making a statement. And I think that statement is probably that you prefer Britain to be more white.
The context is being curated and invented by the identity politicians. That's the problem.
But that's quite a thing to say. If you put a flag in your garden, you're saying you want Britain to be more white.
I think you're making a statement right now. I think right now it's a sensitive subject, and I think to do it now, to get the pole and put the flag outside your house, right now, I think you are making a statement.
Alex?
No, because this is the point. This context, this myth that the flag is somehow racist, this whole idea that nationalism, I agree entirely with what you're saying.
No, I mean now.
The idea that nationalism is somehow toxic has been force-fed onto societies, and it doesn't sit happily with the ordinary person. And so, like I said, I'm quite thankful in this country that people are actually quite relaxed. I don't think it's ethno-nationalist. I don't think skin colour's got anything to do with it. Do I think it's nationalist? Yes. Do I think that being proud of your nation and identifying with your nation is a negative thing? No,
I don't think that either. I don't think that either.
And
I think
the context is what is curated,
but
and that's what's awful.
I'm not saying it's always that. I'm just saying at certain times, when it's a very hot topic, in that context, I think you can be making a statement. Don't you think it can be provocative?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think ultimately we can't see in people's heads, right?
Yeah.
If your motivation is to do this because you're furious about immigrants and you're spray painting the Cross of George on roundabouts, it's not surprising that other people would think, well, that's probably the motivation.
But the people who think it's provocative are the ones who invented the rules that it is provocative. That is the point I'm trying to make. To the ordinary person, that is the national flag. And there's a whole host of people who have said, well, this means this and this means that, and that's divisive and that's racist.
St George's Cross on a roundabout.
People have almost said, fine, go on then.
No, but people painting the St George's Cross on a roundabout, what do you think they're doing it for?
They're doing it because they're fed up with hearing other people say you cannot celebrate your national flag, and they're going to say, well, fine, if you invented laws that you're offended by this, go ahead, feel offended. Done. You've invented laws, you want to be offended, don't be offended.
And Kirsty, are you calling for an element of sensitivity around this that you're maybe not seeing?
Yeah, look, as everything in life, we take offence really, really quickly at a lot of things, and we impugn a lot of motives to people that might not necessarily be there. I think it's just as likely that someone is going exactly what you say. Look, I'm so fed up of you saying if I have a problem with mass immigration, uncontrolled borders, that I'm a bigot, the classic Gordon Brown case. Or Emily Thornberry saying, do you remember when she was canvassing in Kent, I think it was, and sneered at someone that had a St George's flag.
She said she didn't sneer, she just did it.
Pretty sneery to me. But maybe that is what they are protesting against, is that maybe they are racist. I personally wouldn't do it because I know that people will feel uncomfortable with it. It's not my business to go out of my way to make other people feel uncomfortable.
Leave roundabouts alone, Nick. That's our
Richard,
message.
Do you think, sensitivity. Gary Neville accusing angry middle-aged white men of creating division by putting up the nation. That's a big thing to say.
Let's be clear.
Let's
be clear. What also happened is that Nigel Farage, who loves free speech and he hates cancel culture, right? He hates it. Basically called for Gary Neville to lose his job on Sky News for just saying that into his phone.
He did a video, Nigel Farage. I mean, that's quite a thing. He did a video basically saying why she... They didn't say Sky should sack Gary Neville.
Why has he still got his job?
At the end of the day, if you were to, I don't know, turn up and present in your boxer shorts and the BBC said, well, that's not becoming of a BBC presenter and sacked you, that's not a free expression of your bodily rights necessarily. That's your employer having a decision.
But if you're a champion of free speech, you've got to be a champion of free speech even when someone's saying something you don't agree with.
I'm not here as Nigel's advocate on earth. I'm here as Alex Phillips. What I would say is this: you cannot have a situation where the left wing have invented the rules of a game, and when ordinary people go, OK, let's play by your rules, I'm going to wave a flag, and they go, oh, this is offensive.
Do you know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to not put on my boxer shorts, but I'm going to say, sorry guys, we've got to go. That's it from Newsnight.